Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce GTX 1066GB model in Pragmata. This one is the MSI Gaming X version of the card. I'm running it with the latest Nvidia drivers available to it, which aren't the latest anymore. And that could be a little bit of an issue like we saw with the GTX 980 Ti video in Pragmata, but maybe, since this is a 10 series GPU, it's going to fare a little bit better. We'll see. Now, I'm not overclocking the GPU. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Up's GPU Z, and over on the left, I'm pairing it with the i5-12600KF and 32GB of RAM, which is overkill for this card, but we just want to make sure that there's no CPU bottlenecks. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's go over the settings first. I'm starting at 1080p resolution, utilizing the lowest settings possible here, guys. Alright, it doesn't really go lower than this, and I feel like that's adequate for this GPU in this game because it is below the minimum requirements GPU, which is a GTX 1660. So that's around 20% faster than the 1060 over here. It also supports the latest drivers. So, yeah, let's see how this one fares. Around here, which is one of the least intensive areas in this game, you're gonna get around 60 frames per second, and in the first 2 hours of gameplay or so, you're gonna stay inside of the space station or whatever, and you're gonna see similar FPS to these, but then you will come across intensive areas, open areas, and in these areas, you're gonna notice a lot more stuttering and instability in that frame time graph. Yeah, right now it's not too bad, but as soon as we start fighting these little bastards over here, well, big bastards over here, actually, it starts struggling a lot, as you can see. And if I start counting our FPS, the 1% lows are instantly into the 20s, and it feels like they're actually dropping into the 20s. It's not one of those cases where the 1% lows don't really reflect the experience. In this one, they do. You can see the frame time graph is a mess. It's basically the same as we saw with the GTX 980 Ti. I feel like if they had recent drivers, you know, or drivers that are optimized for this game, I feel like the 1060 or the 10 series in general, as well as the 900 series, would have a better chance of playing this game properly, you know, and enjoyably, I guess. But as it stands, not really, guys. I wouldn't recommend a GTX 1060 for Pragmata. Even if you can buy this game on sale, I don't think it's going to be a very good experience. The 980 Ti was getting around like 5 to 10 more FPS, which made it considerably smoother, you know? It was definitely noticeably better, but it still had a ton of stutters, and I couldn't really recommend it with that GPU either. So, yeah, 1060s, 1070s, which is going to be pretty much the same as the 980 Ti, and even up to like the 1080, I feel, aren't really adequate for Pragmata over here. Alright, so, oh boy, the cutscene is coming to an end. We got a lot of smoke effects right there, dropping very close to 30 frames per second, and that's what sucks about this, you know? If it was smooth, if it didn't really have these insane stuttering issues every single time you're trying to do anything, honestly, like this, and, okay, it's super inconsistent. It would be a decent experience, because it's not really dropping too much from 30 FPS. Actually, I only saw it dipping down to 28 in the cutscene, and that was about it. And here, well, I can still play the game and fight the boss, but it isn't as smooth, definitely not as smooth, as the 980 Ti was. So it's definitely not an enjoyable experience. I'm curious to see how, like, a GTX 1660 Ti, maybe, 1660 Super, will do in this game. That's a little bit above minimum requirements. It does have the latest drivers. It still has 6GB of VRAM, so it should be interesting to take a look at for sure. Alright, maybe that's the next GPU that I'll test here in Pragmata, but, yeah, guys, I mean, we could end the video right here, honestly, but I'm still gonna try to make it a little bit better. We got frame generation, which I think I forgot to test with the GTX 980 Ti, and we also got FSR1 and FSR3 upscaling to help bump up those average FPS. So let's start with that. Quality FSR3, it looks really bad in this game, by the way. I'm gonna start counting our FPS, and yeah, I can see a lot of pixelation issues and stuff. At the distance, it's not too bad, though. Like, this huge robot isn't really looking terrible, but everything else, like, for example, the hair and tiny little particles and stuff like that, even that, at the distance, is flickering like crazy. So, Yeah, I don't like it. The character as well, running around, super pixelated with FSR3. It's a bit of a shame, honestly. But hey, it does improve the stability of gameplay a little bit, I think. Like right now, it's not stuttering as much. The 1% lows aren't as low as they were before. They aren't in the 20s anymore, and this is much closer to what the GTX 980 Ti was delivering at the native 1080p resolution with TAA, or without TAA, or whatever, I don't know. Well, TAA doesn't really affect the FPS, so there's that. It's the same thing in terms of frame rates, it's just a different look, you know? But yeah, guys, well, is it playable like this? I guess I can have fun like this if I forget about the terrible performance that we're having, if I forget about the terrible graphics as well, or not the graphics, but the resolution here. I think I could still enjoy it. Like, 12-year-old me would be happy with this experience, so there's that. There will definitely be some people out there who can find this a playable experience, but I just can't really see how spending $60 to have this experience is a good idea. Maybe buy another GPU, maybe save for a bit longer, try to get like $150 and buy an RTX 2080, or at least like a 2060, 2070, 2070 Super. Those GPUs, I bought one myself recently, the RTX 2080. That's a really good GPU for the price. I paid 150 euros for it in the used market. Granted, I needed to haggle. They aren't readily available at 150 bucks for you to grab or for anyone to grab, but you can sometimes find deals on those. And it will demolish the 1060. It will demolish the 980 Ti. It will demolish the 1080. That GPU had basically the same performance as the 1080 Ti when it came out. There's a big difference between 1080 Ti and 1080, by the way, like 30-35%. And that difference has only gotten bigger during the years because, well, the Turing architecture has aged better than Pascal, basically. It has tensor cores, it supports ray tracing, it supports DLSS, which is very important in my opinion. And yeah, I think those 20 series RTX GPUs, especially the ones with 8 gigs of VRAM and higher, so 2060 Super and better, those are still very worthy of taking a look at if you're upgrading from something like a GTX 1060 or 1050 Ti or even 1070 sometimes. Now, let's try it with a little bit of frame generation on top of these FPS. We got 40 frames on average, so it's still not a very good baseline FPS for us to enable FG. But input lag-wise, not too bad. I can definitely notice a lot of input lag here, but the game isn't really like a first-person shooter. It doesn't require super quick reflexes and stuff like that. And you can still be accurate with this amount of input lag, in my opinion. Oh boy. You know what? Let me heal myself a little bit here. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Let's go. Can I shoot the bastard? Yes. That opened up. Okay. Okay. Get out of here. All right. He's hurt, I guess. Oh, yes. Let's go. Take this. Now, this is where things become really bad looking in terms of texture quality. Up close, it looks terrible, basically. If you're looking from far away, it's all right, but that's what you get with a 6 gigabytes GPU. The frame generation actually fixed all of those little issues, guys. That's super impressive. I was not expecting that. Obviously, I have a ton of input lag, but the game is really smooth right now. So maybe something like a 1080 Ti or a GTX 1080 would do a decent job in this game, because it will allow you to play at 1080p native resolution with decent FPS. It will also allow you to increase texture quality slightly, and coupled with frame generation, it will remove the stuttering. So, yeah, this is weird. This is really weird and unexpected. Alright, let me go up there now. Oh boy, when it starts dropping from 60 FPS, it's really crappy. It gets really crappy. Alright, let's go again. Bam, bam. Wait. Can I destroy the shields with this thing? It takes a while to reload. Oh boy. Let's go. Bam. Reload, please. Bam. Come on. Okay, there we go. Last shield. Alright. You know what? Now that I got used to the... Oh, there we go. Let's do the beautiful purple attack or whatever. Yep, very nice. 2500 HP off of him. Very good. But now that I forgot about the input lag, it's actually feeling okay. It's just that initial shock when you enable the frame generation and you're used to playing without it. Oh boy, here comes another big one. Oh, okay, okay. That's gonna be fine. We're gonna see a huge explosion now. But it's only when you are used to playing without frame generation and then enable frame generation that the input lag is going to feel really bad. Now, it's feeling okay, because I got used to it already. That's great. Still wouldn't recommend you to buy this, you know. A frame generation experience with less than 60 FPS is always really trashy because you get input lags of around 20 FPS and it just feels bad. Yeah, the smoothness is there. It feels way nicer than without frame generation. If it was up to me, if I had to play with this GPU, you know, and got the game for free and I really, really wanted to play it, I would enable frame generation. I would not disable it and get the stuttery mess that we saw. But at the same time, I cry. Because you have to play at basically 720p upscale to 1080p with FSR, which looks super pixelated. You have to play with a ton of input lag. It's just not good, and the graphics look like that, you know, like textures. Yeah. So I'm just gonna stop it there, guys, for this one. Shorter video than usual, but you know, you can't really make it much better than this. I guess this is as good as it gets. So, yep, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Love you all. Bye-bye.